The governor of the U.S. state of Utah says the trade school student jailed on suspicion of fatally shooting right-wing activist Charlie Kirk will face formal charges in the coming days. Kirk's death has shocked many in the U.S. and particularly his supporters. People have been gathering at a makeshift memorial at Utah Valley University where he was killed, and also at other sites, including outside the headquarters of Kirk's political movement in his home state of Arizona. But reports have begun emerging of people losing their jobs after posting controversial comments about his death online. MSNBC political analyst Matthew Dowd was fired after saying on air that hateful words lead to hateful actions. Canadian independent journalist Rachel Gilmore said she'd received a tsunami of threats despite posting that she hoped Kirk survived. Meanwhile, US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has reportedly ordered staff to find and identify military personnel who mocked or appeared to condone Kirk's death. Now, earlier, I asked Scott Lucas, a professor of American Studies at University College Dublin, what reports of people getting fired from their jobs after allegedly celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder on social media, what that says about the state of free speech in the US.
Oh, they are being fired because the orders went out from the Trump administration. You saw the command from Pete Hegseth, the Defense Secretary. It's also come from other agencies that people would be dismissed, not for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. If they actually criticize Charlie Kirk's views, Charlie Kirk's past statements, Charlie Kirk's past actions, they could be fired. And there are those in the private sector who are also being dismissed or under pressure to be dismissed. So yes, I mean, this is happening. We can talk about why it's happening. I need to say from the outset that the celebration of murder is not justified in any case. It's not justified in this case. But we are not talking here just simply about being respectful over Charlie Kirk. We're talking about an effort by the Trump administration, and let's be honest, by some groups, especially on the far right, to exploit Kirk's death to crack down on those whom they perceive to be their political enemies and to extend their power.
Yeah, I mean, in the aftermath of the shooting, US President Donald Trump blamed the left. So what you're implying is that we do see some kind of a coordinated campaign here. And is this perhaps also a chance for Trump to distract from other problems like the economy or the Epstein files?
Well, I think it's, there have been times when there's been an attempt to distract from the cases that you mentioned, but I don't see this as a distraction there. I see this as groups trying to seize an opportunity. Look at Trump's immediate statement. There is no evidence, and there is still no evidence that the suspect who is in custody is a committed ideologue of the left or the so-called radical left. In fact, he actually comes from a Trump-supporting family in Utah. But despite that, not only Trump, but others have actually said, we have to, in the words of Steve Bannon, his former chief strategist, go to war against the radical left. We have to actually go to and attack and not just criticize, but dismantle them. And by radical left, they actually just mean anyone who disagrees with them. And to connect your lead stories today, you saw this not only in the US, you saw this in the UK, where Steve Bannon was amongst the speakers, alongside the far right activist Tommy Robinson, who has been convicted and been in prison 5 times on offenses including hate speech. You saw them calling for this assault on the so-called left. This is an attempt, effectively, to undermine systems, to break down institutions.
Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but do you see anyone out there, any public figure with enough weight, able to calm things down and to stop what you're describing from happening?
Oh, of course there are. Now, the governor of Utah, to his credit, Spencer Cox, when he announced the detention of the suspect, he called for unity. He called for people to step back. But then he also said, oh, this is all the fault of the left. This occurred. So responsibly, he could utter the first statement, not the second. But there have been many people in political life, and especially many people at the grassroots who have been saying, we have got to get beyond this polarization. We've got to get beyond feeding division inciting hatred, to call for dialogue and respect and tolerance across the political spectrum. But there's a problem here, not only in the United States with a damaged media system, but amongst many international media, not DW, I hasten to add. It's the squeaky wheels that get the grease. It's the loud people like Donald Trump, like a Steve Bannon, like other right-wing activists who get the headlines. If you're going to amplify the hate speech, if you're going to amplify division by those who try to exploit Charlie Kirk's murder, then you are suppressing, you're putting down those who say, we have to find another way other than violence.
Well, very sobering thoughts there. Scott Lucas, Professor of American Studies at University College Dublin. Thank you so very much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your insights.